welcome back to the channel, Evergreen Organics. Today we're going to do a 1-year review on my Frank's Patriot boots. It's the end of April. I got these at the beginning of May last year. I got these in the rough out lower, soft toe with the smooth upper in black. I paid $350 for these boots. If you want to buy Patriots now, they're $379 to $389 depending on what style you get, and they are worth every penny. We're going to do a relacing and cleaning of these boots today. I've got some Bison Kilties. I wanted to try out the Shrunken Bison. I'm thinking about getting some Shrunken Bison boots, but before I drop $750 on a pair of boots, I might as well spend $13 on some Kilties and wear them for a few months and see how the leather works out. I've never owned anything that was Bison before, so I figured this is a cheap way to give it a try. Now, about a week ago, I finally broke one of these laces. I was walking around in New York City, of all places, for like 2 days straight, and I thought, man, I gotta have comfortable boots if I'm gonna be walking for that long. So I brought my Patriots with me to New York, and lo and behold, I broke a lace while I was in New York City. But such is life, right? So I picked up a pair of new laces. Now, I got these from Nick's, because Nick's offers laces for, I think, like $12.99 with free shipping. Now, you can get laces off of the Frank's website, but if the only thing you're going to buy is laces, I would recommend not doing that, because once I calculated shipping out, it was like $21 or something for laces. So if I can get them from their sister company for $13, that's what I'm going to do. But anyways, I want to show you guys some close-up shots of these boots before I do anything to them so that you can see what they look like after a year of wear. I've only oiled these boots once, and I think it was when I did my 6-month review on the Patriots. These boots are remarkable. I cannot believe how well they have held up over the last year. And those of you that have seen anything else on my channel know that I'm rough on boots. I do logging, I do well drilling, septic systems, commercial plumbing, and I've done all of it in these boots. And they've stood the test of time. I used to wear Red Wing loggers for years and years and years, and those boots are up to, like, I think $330 a pair. And I used to maybe get 9 months out of them before they were completely shot. The only upside that I can see at all to Red Wing loggers is that they do have a Gore-Tex liner, so they're completely waterproof. But aside from that, everything else about these boots is higher quality. And honestly, I still don't know how Frank's can make these boots at this price point and make any profit, because these are just a remarkable deal. So let's get into it. So real quick, I just want to talk about a couple of the differences between the Commanders, Highlanders, and the Patriots, at least from the information that I've been able to gather. I'm going to show you my pair of Nick's Builder Pros because I don't have a pair of Frank's Commanders. So I'll bring the same boot here together. So the first noticeable difference is that there's no pull loop on the back, and also there's not this stitching in the center like there would be on the Builder Pros, or I'm assuming they're on the Commanders too. The other thing is that the Patriot has a 3/4 inch thick sole. Now, my Builder Pros have an extra thick sole. I ordered them this way, which was kind of a mistake. But these have an 1 1/8 inch thick sole, and they come stock with a 1 inch thick sole. The Patriots are also cut out of some of the lesser ideal areas of the hide. Now, it's still super high quality leather, higher quality than anything you're going to get out of a mass-produced boot, but they save the super premium sections of the leather for their Highlanders, their Commanders, their Rikers, their other lines that are their more expensive boots. These boots are not customizable at all. However, they've changed those options a little bit on their website, where you can get them in steel toe. They only offer special edition ones, like runs that come out here and there that are in the rough out lower and smooth upper. Otherwise, it's only smooth on smooth. I believe you can get them in composite toe as well. But the other thing is that they do not have the Kevlar stitching around the vamp, and they do not have the McKay lock stitching in the sole that is on their other boots. Now, I believe Frank's is the only company of the Pacific Northwest boot makers left that does McKay lock stitching. I know that Nick's doesn't do it on any of their boots anymore. Frank's is unique. I mean, they're kind of the only company left that will offer customizable options the way that they do them. So I'm going to tear the laces out of these dirty dogs, and we're going to get started on giving them a clean and a fresh oiling with some new laces and new kilties. Okay, so when I clean boots, I keep it pretty basic. I know they say that you should wash them with saddle soap and then let them dry for a day, but I ain't got time for that. So typically what I use is just like a boot brush, and then I also have like a metal bristled brush that I use just if I have stuff that's really deeply caked on that I can't get off with this softer brush. So I'm going to give these a quick brush down, and then we're going to get to oiling them. I use Obanoff's. They also make a heavy duty one. I think it's called the LP. I've never used it before. I've only used this Obanoff's oil. This stuff is phenomenal. This is basically what everybody uses that is into high quality boots that are handmade. Now, if you're new to the handmade boot world, or you're thinking about getting your first pair of Pacific Northwest boots, which I highly recommend, especially if you're the kind of person who wants something that's quality that lasts. Like, I didn't think that it was possible to have a work boot that lasted longer than a year. I thought Red Wing was the, be all end all of high quality work boots, and I thought you just get a year out of your boots and that's that. You got to get another pair. And I was completely wrong. I thought it was impossible to have a pair of boots where the leather wouldn't be completely shot after a year. And turns out there are companies that make boots like that. It's Nick's and Frank's. Now, I can't speak to JK's. I've spent a lot of time on the Pacific Northwest boot forums, Reddit and Facebook and all that stuff, and some people love JK's. Their sizing is a little bit different than the other Pacific Northwest boot makers. I know some people have had some quality control issues with JK's, particularly wildland firefighters, having them fall apart in the first season. So I've never bought a pair of JK's. I don't really have much to say about that company. It's outside of the scope of my experience. I've never worn a pair of their boots. I reached out to them to see if they'd give me a pair to do a review on my YouTube channel, and they never emailed me back, of course, but I reached out to every one of the Pacific Northwest boot makers to see if they'd give me a pair of boots to review on my channel, and none of them got back to me, so go figure. They don't want to give away a $600 pair of boots. This is about all I do for cleaning. Now, when I start to oil this, there's a couple things that I have learned over the years that are kind of no-nos. And one of them is that this heel stack, which is completely made out of leather, except for the rubber sole here and then the heel block, this you should not oil, because all these stacks of leather are glued together, and if you saturate this with oil, it affects that glue and you can start to get separation in your heel stack. Now this edge here, you can absolutely oil. The other thing is that around the eyelets, try not to get too much oil around the eyelets. They don't need a ton of oiling there. I mean, these boots are pretty thirsty. They're going to need a decent amount of oil. If you over oil your eyelets, you run the risk of the leather loosening up and the eyelets actually popping out. It's not something that you want. I believe they can repair it if you send it in for a repair. Maybe a local cobbler can put a new eyelet in that's slightly larger or something, but it's just one of those things that you kind of want to avoid. I do put a little bit of oil there because I think the whole boot should get oiled, but primarily what I'm looking to oil is the vamp. This is what dries out so bad, and it's remarkable that these aren't cracked or anything yet, considering I have not really taken good care of these boots. I have just kind of put them on and gone to work. So that's really what I'm looking for in a work boot. I don't want a boot that I got to oil every 2 weeks. I know some guys do that, and I've heard of guys actually over oiling boots, which I didn't even know was a thing. It's crazy how I must be rubbing a lot on something here, so there's like a little bit of wear on the stitching right there. But other than that, like, the stitching has completely held up remarkably well. I don't see any breaks in the stitching. Like I said, I just cannot believe that you can get a pair of boots like this for that price point. This is also the first pair of soft-toed boots that I've ever bought. These are on the 55 last. There are several different lasts, and I recommend that if you want to buy Pacific Northwest boots, you do your own research on what last you think would work well for you. I know a lot of guys shy away from the big heel stack because they think it's going to feel like a cowboy boot. And the first day that you wear them, it definitely does feel kind of like a cowboy boot. But once they break in, it doesn't feel like anything unusual. And what it does is it spreads the weight of your body across your entire foot instead of just your heel. Like regular wedge sole boots and stuff like that, like I'm kind of a heel walker and I just bounce on my heels. Before I got into wearing logging boots, I had a lot of lower back pain, and I'm not even that big of a guy. Back when I started my plumbing career, I was 160 pounds soaking wet. So it makes a big difference when you're standing on your feet all day long to have this elevated heel that just naturally pushes all the weight out across your foot and supports your arch. There's a reason why wildland firefighters who walk across rugged terrain for miles and miles and miles wear an elevated heel like this. It's not just for looks. It is ergonomic and it makes a lot of sense. Looks like I got some stones stuck in here. I do. I've literally got stones stuck in my boot. Should probably get those out of there. I guess I did not realize that that could happen. These boots are full of stones. But, you know, you wear them for a year. What do you expect? Now, they come with this little dauber, and it's nice for getting some of this stuff on there. But at some point, I'm probably just going to start smushing it in with my hands. And you can tell these boots are really thirsty because they're already lapping up what I'm offering. And if you get a little bit on the heel stack, it's not a big deal. You can tell the vamp is already dried up, which means I need to put more on it. Got a metal filing stuck in my boot here. So here you can see the difference between my nice freshly oiled boot, which is still kind of thirsty. I might put even a little bit more on there. And this thirsty boot, this poor guy. There you have it. A couple of sexy looking boots. Now I probably don't need to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of oil on the new laces that I got and on the kilties just to help them with break-in. Lap up a little of this on the table here for starters. So while I'm doing this, I do want to talk about something really quick. If you've never bought Pacific Northwest boots and you're thinking about getting your first pair, now I've done several videos on Pacific Northwest boots, and I learned a very valuable lesson in the first pair that I bought. It was my Nix Builder Pros, and I got them custom configuration, and it took me like 8 months to get my boots, something like that. It was months and months and months it took me to get my boots in the mail. When they came, they were too big. And I had been waiting for so long for them that I said, oh, well, I'll just wear them with thick socks and it'll be okay. And you know what? It turned out after a few months of wearing them that it just wasn't okay. They were too big, right? They were just too big. They were not the right size. And the reason they weren't the right size is not because they don't have a size fitting chart online that's accurate or because Brannick sizing doesn't work. It's because I was like, oh, I'll just go a size down from my Red Wing size. And I wear 11.5s in Red Wings, and I ordered 11s in my Knicks, and they were too big. And it sucks to drop over $600 on a pair of boots and have them be essentially not wearable after a period of time. Like in the winter when I have really thick wool socks on, they work out okay. But if I'm going to spend that kind of money on boots, I want them to fit my foot perfectly. So if you are going to buy Pacific Northwest boots and you don't already know your size on a specific last, like these are the 55 last. It's a number 3 toe box. The 67 last is, they call it a number 4 toe box or a sprung toe. It has a slightly taller toe box. It's a little bit wider. If you don't know your size, for the love of God, go to any shoe store that is a decent shoe store and they will have what is known as a Brannick device. Now, a Brannick device is a universal device that measures the length of your foot. The width on Brannick devices, I don't really fully understand it. But what I would do is go to a shoe store and measure your foot wearing the socks you plan to wear with your boots. Like I wear Darn Tough socks all the time. Wear those socks and measure each one of your feet and take a picture of the Brannick device with your foot in it. Standing each foot and sitting each foot. And then go spend $5 or whatever on a tailor's tape measure and measure the ball of your foot. Or better yet, call Frank's and talk to them on the phone with a tailor's tape measure and your Brannick measurements, seated and standing, and they will be able to size you over the phone, and you will be able to get the perfect size of boot. Now, when I did that, I ended up with these, which are a 10D. They're a full size smaller than my Knicks boots. I probably could have gotten a 10.5 if I wanted a little bit more wiggle room, but I like a snug boot, and these things fit perfectly. It's phenomenal. I think if I had to do it over again, I just went with the D width because my 11Ds fit really well, and the width is not the same. So if you have an 11D, a 10E will be the same width as the 11D. So the width number changes as the boot size goes down, which is why that tailor's tape measure is super crucial. The other thing that Frank's does that no other company left that I know of does, and for sure Knicks doesn't do it anymore, is if you have a really weird shaped foot, or you have super wide feet, or you have bunions or something like that, or you want to get, the 12 or 16 inch tall boots and you have really wide calves or skinny calves or whatever it is, really high arches, really low arches, boxy toes, you can go to Frank's and they will size your foot and they will custom make a boot that is the shape of your foot. Knicks used to do it, and they used to save lasts for customers that had oddly shaped feet. Like once you got sized by them, they would save your last for life. And they don't do it anymore. But Frank's still does it, which is another thing that makes them unique. Like Frank's is a singular company. They're the only one left that does that kind of stuff. So for the love of God, if you've never worn these boots and you're going to get them for the first time, take the time to size your foot properly so that you order them and they're the right size. Frank's, I believe, charges like a 20% maybe restocking fee, which on a $600 pair of boots is $120. So it pays for you to just take yourself down to the shoe store, figure out your Brannick size, not your, I wear Chippewas in this size and I wear Red Wings in this size, so I should just be able to estimate and I'll be accurate. Like, no, Pacific Northwest boots run large. The only remotely comparable sizing is like the Heritage Red Wings, like the Iron Rangers, and even that doesn't exactly line up. So please, please, please do yourself a favor and make sure you know your Brannick size and your foot width, your measured circumference of the ball of your foot before you order your boots. Now, their website has a chart that shows like the ball of your foot circumference, and it's like a scale that slides to each each size. So if you're a 10 and you're whatever size, then you're a D, or you're 11, you're whatever size, you're an E, or whatever it is. So use that scale. If but better yet, like if you have any questions about it, just call Frank's. I think the woman that answers the phone's name is Veronica, I want to say, and she's a super sweetheart. Like, she's lovely. I called her the other day just to like ask her random questions about their boots, because I have a YouTube channel where I talk about boots. And she was super nice. She talked on the phone with me for like a half hour, just giving me information about their boots. Like, they're a super wonderful company. They're small. I mean, Frank's is, I think there's only 8 guys that make boots for Frank's. They're a very, very small company, but they make the best, the toughest boots in the world. Bring you guys in here close again real quick. Okay, so when you are lacing your boots, like let's say you get them for the first time, or you are cleaning your boots and re-oiling them, something that's important to remember is the way that you orient your initial laces on your kiltie. Now they should sit like this. If you go underneath first and then you have the lace over the top, it creates like a pinch point in the boot and it makes them very uncomfortable. So I just run my kilties like this, and then I get my laces to the same length. And that's that. I have one ready. Over the top, underneath. There we have it. They're ready to put on the boot. One other little thing, real quick, although this video is running long. This is the first pair of soft-toed boots that I've ever had. I've always worn steel toes up until this point because I do a lot of heavy construction work, and at the time that I bought these, they only had soft toes in stock, and so I thought I'll give it a try. Now, if you notice on this boot right here, there's an indentation right there, and that's from where I bend over on that same leg. I typically kneel down on my right knee. And so if you do a lot of kneeling at work, you may want to get these in steel toe just so that this crease doesn't form. If you never are kneeling down, like doing construction work or whatever, then I wouldn't worry about it. But this little crease has been a little bit bothersome to me, and maybe I can get it out. It's not really a big deal, but just sometimes I notice it and it kind of bothers me. I also have always worn steel toes, so I've always had a lot of room for my toes to move up and down inside of a toe box. And when you have a soft-toed 55 last like this, that doesn't have a Celastic toe or composite or steel toe or anything like that in it, these tend to like sink down over time a little bit. And so you can feel the top of this boot on the top of your foot. You can still move your feet around or move your toes around, wiggle them around, but you can feel this leather on the top of your toes. So if it's something that you don't like you're a lifetime steel toe boot wearer, I would stick with steel toe boots. These boots tend to look a little bit more bulbous when they are steel toe, but I guess that's like any boot that's steel toe is going to look bulbous like that, you know? Composite toe, definitely. Composite toe looks super bulbous. They look like clown boots. I bought one pair of composite toe boots. Actually, they were given to me. I won a scholarship through the Micro Works Foundation, and it was sponsored by Wolverine. And Wolverine let me pick out any pair of boots that I wanted off of their website as part of the scholarship. So I picked a pair of composite toe, like winter logger boots. Those things were the most god-awfully uncomfortable boots I'd ever worn in my life. They had these like super piercing pinch points in them, and they were just awful. I wore them for a couple days and I just gave them away. I was like, I can't even do this. So there you have it, folks. Frank's Patriots, after 1 year of hard use, well drilling, septic systems, plumbing, logging, I've done it all with these boots. And a year later, $350 later, they are still in perfect condition. I think the kilties that I added were 12 or 13 bucks, and the laces were $13. So I've invested $26 in them over the last year, and now they're oiled up and ready for another long duration of hard use. I can't tell you enough how valuable these boots are. I don't know how long Frank's is going to keep making Patriots because they're just, I don't know how they build them for that price point. I don't know how they build their Commanders and Highlanders for only $600. It blows my mind. When you consider that this entire boot, other than the Vibram sole, this is a V100 by the way, the entire boot is made out of leather. Everything. It's leather and stitching and brass eyelets, and that's it. The entire sole is made out of leather. The heel stack is made out of leather. I think there's like 8 or 9 layers of leather from the heel stack all the way up. It's just mind-blowing. If you're sick and tired of buying new boots every year for $300+, I highly recommend you pick up yourself a pair of Patriots just to get your feet wet in the Pacific Northwest boot world. Now, I just want to have a disclaimer here. I'm not sponsored by Frank's. They don't pay me to make these videos. They didn't give these boots to me. They didn't offer me anything. They don't even know that I'm making this video. I'm just making this video because I'm a guy who likes high-quality American-made workwear that lasts. I'm sick and tired of buying cheap stuff that goes to crap on me in a few months. So those of you that have seen my channel, you know that I do some reviews and stuff like this, and it's just kind of what I'm into, and I hope that is valuable to somebody out there that watches this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.